Have you ever opened your eyes in the deep stillness of night, somewhere between 3:00 a.m. and 5:00 a.m., and wondered why now? You might shift beneath your blanket, glance at the dim screen of your phone, or try to pull yourself back into the dream you were living just minutes ago. But what if this moment, this sliver of time before dawn, isn't an interruption? What if it's an invitation? On Master from Within, we speak often about hidden doors inside everyday life, the moments most people ignore, yet the masters throughout history recognized as sacred opportunities. And there is no moment more mysterious, more potent, or more misunderstood than the hour before dawn. Many ancient traditions speak of this window, but the Shaolin teachings make it unmistakably clear. If you want to master your life, you must first master your inner world. And the quietest hours of the morning hold the key. This is not superstition. This is not romantic mysticism wrapped in ancient robes. This is practical inner science, the understanding that between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., the world is silent, the mind is unarmored, the nervous system is soft, and the subconscious stands open like a gate waiting for direction. Most people fight this moment, but the master uses it. What I'm about to share with you is not theory. It's something I've learned through years of practice, through long nights and early mornings, through conversations with monks, teachers, healers, and everyday people who discovered that waking at this hour changed the trajectory of their lives. And so, if you ever find yourself awake when the rest of the world is still dreaming, don't roll over in frustration. Don't reach for the glowing rectangle on your nightstand. Instead, listen. You are being called. And here are the practices that can guide you through that doorway. 1. Breath, the first return to yourself. When the world is silent, when the air feels untouched and your mind has not yet been cluttered by the demands of the day, the very first act you must take is simple, yet profound. Breathe with intention. Not the absent-minded breathing you've done since infancy. Not the shallow breaths of stress, stimulation, or routine. I'm talking about breathing as a conscious, sacred decision, a deliberate awakening of your energy field. There is a saying in Shaolin wisdom: the breath is the thread that sews the mind to the body. And between 3 and 5 a.m., this thread is delicate, golden, and incredibly responsive. When you wake during these hours, resist the impulse to move quickly. Don't grab your phone. Don't flip on a light. Just lie there and notice the breath you already have. Feel it. Not analyze it, feel it. The subtle rise of your chest. The gentle fall of your belly. The cool air entering your nostrils and the warm air leaving them. The tiny pause between inhale and exhale, like the universe holding its breath with you. This is your first moment of mastery. Not because the breath is special, but because your awareness of it is. Most people wake up and immediately step back into the noise, mentally, emotionally, physically. But the individual who chooses to breathe intentionally becomes something different. You move from automatic living to conscious living. You reclaim the controls. As you continue to breathe, let your breath deepen, not forcefully, but like a flower unfolding in slow motion. Inhale through your nose. Feel your ribs expand. And exhale gently through your mouth, letting tension leave the body like mist dissolving in morning air. You will notice something strange happens. Your pulse slows. Your mind quiets. Your energy begins to gather. This is not relaxation. This is awakening. Breath is the foundation of self-mastery, because it is the one tool that is always available, always honest, and always powerful. You can't control your past. You can't control other people. You can't control everything that will happen today. But you can control your breath. and the one who controls their breath controls their state. 5 minutes, just 5, of intentional breathing each morning can change the way you speak, the way you walk, the way you respond to challenges, the way you speak to yourself. Because breath is not just oxygen, it is orientation. It is the way you decide who you are going to be today. If you want to build discipline, start with the breath. If you want more peace, start with the breath. If you want inner strength, start with the breath. One breath, then another, then another. This is where mastery begins. 2. Movement, awakening the life force. Once your breath has softened the edges of your mind and grounded you in the present moment, a new kind of invitation arises. Your body begins to speak. Not loudly, not urgently, but softly, like an old friend asking you to remember something you've forgotten. At this hour, movement is not exercise. It's not effort. It's awakening. In the Shaolin tradition, stagnation is considered one of the great roots of suffering. When energy stops moving, the body stiffens, the emotions grow heavy, the mind becomes foggy, and even the spirit feels distant. So after breathing, you offer your body the gift of gentle motion. You do not leap out of bed. You do not turn on bright lights. You do not shock your system into performance. No. You rise like dawn itself, gradually, respectfully, with presence. Roll your shoulders. Stretch your arms. Let the spine lengthen slowly, as though it's been waiting for this moment. Allow your neck to move gently from side to side. Feel your feet touch the floor with awareness, as if rooting into the earth. This is not about burning calories or pushing limits. This is about circulation, of blood, of energy, of awareness. This is the difference between living and simply existing. In traditional Chinese medicine, the hours between 3 and 5 a.m. correspond to the lungs, the emotional home of grief, breath, and inner release. By moving gently in these hours, you help the body dissolve emotional residue you may not even know you're carrying. A forward bend might release a sadness you didn't realize had settled in your chest. A twist of the torso might free tension that has been stuck for weeks. A gentle stretch might open space where anxiety once lived. You are not stretching muscles, you are stretching consciousness. 10 minutes is enough. 10 minutes of movement with awareness can shape your entire day. You step into life differently. You walk with greater steadiness. You respond with more calm. People feel a shift in you, even if you say nothing. That's because intention has a frequency, and movement with awareness amplifies it. You become someone who does not stumble into the day, but steps into it with clarity. You become someone who does not react to life, but moves with it. You become someone who does not wait for energy to rise, but creates it from within. This is the second step toward mastery. 3. Stillness, meeting the quiet within. After breathing and movement, the body is awakened, the mind is softened, and the heart is opened. This creates the perfect doorway to the third practice, the one most people fear and resist. Stillness. This stillness is not about emptying the mind or forcing silence. It's about meeting yourself before the world meets you. Most people start their day rushing. They chase productivity, tasks, goals, or expectations. But the masters know that the deepest strength comes not from motion, but from stillness. Stillness is where you discover what is real. Stillness is where you hear the whispers beneath the noise. Stillness is where your inner compass recalibrates. When you sit quietly, gently, without agenda, something inside you begins to reveal itself. Your thoughts pass like clouds instead of storms. Your emotions rise without taking over. Your breath moves without effort. Your mind opens like a window to fresh air. In stillness, there is clarity. And in clarity, there is power. This is not passive sitting. This is deep engagement with your own presence. You are not trying to solve problems. You are not trying to force enlightenment. You are simply allowing yourself to be fully. This is the moment where the mind can release what the breath softened and what the movement loosened. Old tension dissolves. Mental fog clears. Emotional residue settles. You return to yourself. Even 5 minutes of stillness can anchor your entire day. It gives you a center, a calm point inside that remains steady no matter what storms arise later. And each time you practice it, this center grows stronger. This is how mastery is built, not in dramatic moments but in quiet consistency. Stillness is not an escape from the world. It is the place you gather strength to walk into it with purpose. And it is in this stillness, between breath and movement, between inner quiet and outer awakening, that the fourth practice begins to rise naturally. Feeding the mind with clarity. 4. Mental nourishment, choosing what enters your inner world. Most people begin their mornings by opening their phones. Messages, notifications, headlines, comparison, pressure, an avalanche of noise before the mind has even taken its first conscious step. But you are not most people. When you awaken in the early dawn hours, your mind is not yet cluttered. It is open, receptive, like smooth water before the wind has disturbed it. Whatever enters your mind in this state goes deep. It takes root. It shapes not just the morning, but the entire day. This is why masters throughout history were intentional about what they allowed into their minds upon waking. They knew that the first impressions of the day act as an inner compass, quietly steering thoughts, emotions, and decisions. So after breath, movement, and stillness, you choose carefully what you feed your awareness. This could be a few lines from a sacred text, a passage from a book that carries timeless wisdom, a journal prompt that helps you focus your intention, a question that sharpens your clarity, an affirmation that aligns your energy, a moment of reflection on what matters most. It does not have to be long, but it must be intentional. Because the mind, especially in these early hours, is not just awake, it is porous. It absorbs everything with heightened sensitivity. And in that sensitivity lies a powerful opportunity. Do not waste it on noise. Do not waste it on fear. Do not waste it on the digital chaos that so many people unconsciously inhale the moment they wake up. On Master from Within, we often speak of the mental diet. Just as you are selective with the food you place into your body, you must be selective with the information you place into your mind. What you read, hear, or focus on shapes the energy you carry into the world. If your first input is negativity, you will carry tension. If your first input is comparison, you will carry insecurity. If your first input is distraction, you will carry confusion. But if your first input is clarity, wisdom, or meaning, you will carry direction. You will move through the world with steadiness. You will speak with intention. You will act from a place of centeredness rather than reactivity. This is how inner authority is built. Not through force but through choice. Not through perfection but through repetition. So choose one thought, just one, that aligns with who you want to be today. Hold it gently in your mind. Let it echo softly through your awareness. It could be, I move through this day with calm strength. I choose clarity over noise. I honor my energy. I lead myself before I lead anything else. One thought held consistently can shape your entire day. This is not motivational fluff. This is mental architecture. You are choosing the blueprint of your mindset before the world chooses it for you. And as this practice deepens, you will notice something remarkable. You become less influenced by external noise. You become less shaken by challenges. You become less dependent on validation. Because when the mind is nourished with clarity, it becomes a powerful ally, not a restless master. 5. Action, the first intentional step. After breath, after movement, after stillness, after mental clarity, there is one final step that completes this sacred morning window. Acting with intention. This is the moment where the inner world and outer world meet. The mistake many people make is trying to do everything at once, rushing into productivity, chasing motivation, making long lists, or trying to get ahead before the sun rises. But mastery is not about doing more. It is about doing what matters, deeply, fully, and consciously. So instead of asking, "What do I need to get done today?" ask yourself, "What is the one action I can take right now that supports everything else?" Not 10 actions, not 20, just one. Maybe it's writing a single clear intention. Maybe it's preparing something meaningful for the day. Maybe it's sending one message that needs to be sent. Maybe it's working on a task that aligns with your deeper purpose. Maybe it's taking a quiet walk. Maybe it's simply sitting for a few extra minutes in gratitude. The size of the action does not matter. The presence within it does. Because an intentional action carries more power than 10 unconscious ones. When you act from alignment, breath steady, body awake, mind clear, your energy becomes focused, sharp, efficient. You are not reacting to life. You are creating your experience of it. This is the difference between chaos and clarity, between stress and direction, between drifting and leading. When your first action is deliberate, the rest of your day begins to follow its rhythm. And that rhythm carries a quiet authority. People feel it in your presence, in your tone, in your decisions. Not because you announce it, but because aligned energy speaks louder than words. On Master from Within, we often say, "Your energy walks into the room before you do." This is why the early hours matter. This is why the first breath matters. This is why the first movement matters. This is why the first thought matters. And this is why the first action matters. Together, these practices shape the way you enter the world. And the way you enter the world determines the way it responds to you. There comes a moment in this journey, quiet, subtle, often unnoticed, when you realize something profound. You have begun to trust yourself. Not in a loud or forceful way. Not in the way people talk about confidence. But in a deeper, quieter sense. A trust rooted in alignment. Because every morning you choose to return to yourself. Every morning you choose breath over noise. Every morning you choose stillness before movement. Every morning you choose clarity over chaos. Every morning you choose intention over distraction. And these choices, repeated in the silence of dawn, begin shaping something far more enduring than motivation. Self-respect. 6. The rise of inner authority. Inner authority is not about controlling others. It is about leading yourself with such consistency, such intention, such awareness, that you no longer need external permission to act, to choose, or to become. You begin to feel it in simple ways. You speak less, but your words carry more weight. You move slower, but with more precision. You react less, but respond with greater clarity. You seek less approval, because your alignment becomes your compass. You compare yourself less, because you are walking your own rhythm. And the world begins to notice. Not because you announce anything, but because internal alignment radiates outward in ways no one can fake. This is the quiet rise of inner authority. It begins not with ambition, but with awareness. Not with achievement, but with presence. Not with external success, but with internal consistency. Each of the morning practices you've cultivated becomes a pillar of this inner structure. Breath anchors you. Movement energizes you. Stillness centers you. Mental clarity guides you. Intentional action aligns you. Together, they form the architecture of someone who leads themselves. And when you lead yourself, the world responds differently. Opportunities open where they were once closed. Conversations shift. Decisions become easier. Boundaries strengthen. Direction becomes clearer. This is not magic. This is alignment. 7. The slow, steady reshaping of identity. There is a truth many people overlook. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your habits. And the habits you cultivate in the early hours of the morning do not just shape your day. They shape your identity. Every morning, you commit to these practices. You silently tell yourself, I am someone who shows up. I am someone who honors my mind. I am someone who leads my energy. I am someone who chooses growth. I am someone who aligns before I act. These statements are not spoken, they are embodied. An identity is built through embodiment. When you act in accordance with who you wish to become, you slowly stop trying to change your life from the outside and begin transforming it from the inside. This is the path of the inner practitioner, the path of the self-aware, the path of the one who intends, directs, and disciplines their inner world. You begin to notice subtle changes. Your mind is less reactive. Your body carries less tension. Your decisions feel cleaner. Your focus deepens. Your intuition becomes sharper. Your energy becomes more refined. These are the quiet signals of transformation, the signs that the outer layers of old habits, old conditioning, and old stories are falling away. This is not the loud kind of change people post about. It is not dramatic. It is not performative. It is the internal shift that precedes every external breakthrough. 8. Returning to yourself throughout the day. Mastery is not built in a single hour of the morning. It is built in the way you carry that hour into the rest of your day. So throughout the day, you return, again and again, to the practices you cultivated in the early light. You pause and take a conscious breath when stress rises. You ground your body when tension builds. You quiet your mind when noise threatens clarity. You refocus when distractions pull at your attention. You choose presence in moments where the world demands speed. You choose intention in moments where habit tries to take over. This is how the morning becomes a blueprint for the day, and how the day becomes a foundation for the life you are creating. Mastery is repetition, not of tasks but of awareness. You are no longer a passenger being carried by momentum. You are the one holding the wheel. You are the one directing the internal landscape from which all external action arises. This is the essence of what we teach here at Master from Within. Before you master anything in the world, you must learn to master yourself. And mastery is not force. It is not perfection. It is not intensity. It is alignment. It is awareness. It is self-leadership. The more you return to yourself, the more powerful your presence becomes. Because presence is the highest form of strength, there is a misconception many people carry. That transformation arrives as a sudden moment, a dramatic breakthrough, a burst of motivation, a fiery decision that changes everything overnight. But real transformation is quieter, more patient, more rhythmic. It does not come in the loud moments of inspiration. It comes in the silent moments of repetition, the choices you make when no one is watching, the practices you return to when the world is still asleep. These early hours of self-alignment become the forge where your inner character is shaped. And what is character? It is not personality. It is not image. It is not how you appear to others. Character is what you repeatedly choose when you are alone with yourself. The morning is where this truth becomes visible. Because there is no audience. There is no applause. There is no reward. There is no performance. There is just you. You and the path you choose to walk. 9. The discipline of returning. Discipline is often misunderstood as force, pushing, grinding, straining, fighting. But true discipline is not force. True discipline is returning. Returning to the breath, even when the mind is noisy. Returning to movement, even when the body is tired. Returning to stillness, even when emotions are restless. Returning to clarity, even when the world feels overwhelming. Returning to intention, even when distractions whisper loudly. Anyone can be disciplined when they feel motivated. But mastery begins when motivation fades. And you return anyway. You return because the practice has become part of you. You return because it shapes the energy you bring into your life. You return because every time you choose alignment, you strengthen a deeper part of your identity. In these early hours, you become a witness to your own becoming. Every breath returns you to presence. Every stretch returns you to your body. Every moment of silence returns you to your inner truth. Every clear thought returns you to your purpose. Every action returns you to your path. And the more you return, the less you abandon yourself. 10. Meeting your inner resistance with patience. There will be mornings when the mind resists. Mornings when the body is heavy. Mornings when the emotions are tangled. Mornings when the discipline feels distant. But resistance is not a sign to stop. It is a sign that you are entering the territory where growth happens. Resistance is the mind protecting old patterns. It is the body clinging to old habits. It is the ego guarding its familiar identity. It is the nervous system seeking comfort in what it already knows. But you are not here to negotiate with the old self. You are here to guide it, to lead it, to shape it gently but firmly into alignment with who you are becoming. And so you meet resistance with patience, not with force, not with frustration, not with self-judgment, but with awareness. You breathe into it. You move through it. You sit with it without shrinking. You observe it without becoming it. You honor it, but you do not obey it. In these moments, you build a rare kind of strength. Not the strength to dominate the world, but the strength to not abandon yourself in the face of difficulty. This is the strength that true masters carry. 11. Becoming the observer of your inner landscape. Most people move through life reacting to everything. Reacting to thoughts. Reacting to emotions. Reacting to stress. Reacting to expectations. Reacting to the past. Reacting to the noise of others. But something begins to change when you practice stillness and intentional awareness. You begin to shift from being the one who reacts to being the one who observes. You watch your thoughts rise and fall like waves. You notice your emotions move like weather across the sky. You sense your body speaking in subtle signals. You see patterns you once moved through unconsciously. This shift from reactivity to observation is the foundation of self-mastery. Because once you become the observer, you gain choice. You can choose which thoughts to nurture. You can choose which emotions to feed. You can choose which impulses to act on. You can choose which stories to release. You can choose which direction to walk. Observation creates space. And in that space, freedom is born. This is why the early hours matter so deeply. They give you the silence needed to hear your inner world clearly. They give you the stillness needed to see your patterns. They give you the time needed to reconnect with your deeper self. In this space, you begin to live with intention rather than habit. This is the essence of inner mastery. As the days pass, something subtle begins to unfold within you. A deeper relationship with your own presence. Presence is the art of being fully here, not lost in memories of yesterday, not consumed by the possibilities of tomorrow, not trapped in loops of overthinking, not scattered across obligations and expectations. Presence is the moment where your awareness and your reality meet. And this is where your power lives. Most people move through life in fragments. Their body in one place, their mind in another, their attention split across 100 invisible threads. But the more you practice intentional mornings, the more you reclaim these scattered pieces of yourself. You become whole. You become unified. You become anchored. This anchoring gives rise to something rare. Clarity of being. 12. The energy you carry shapes the world around you. Everything in your life is influenced by the energy you bring into it. Your relationships, your decisions, your work, your creativity, your purpose, your presence in a room, your ability to navigate difficulty, your sense of inner direction. When your energy is scattered, everything feels harder. When your energy is grounded, everything feels clearer. Your morning practices are not just rituals. They are ways of shaping the energy you carry into the day. You breathe to clear your internal pathways. You move to awaken your physical vessel. You sit in stillness to settle your mind. You feed yourself clarity to refine your awareness. You take intentional action to align your direction. These steps create coherence, a state where your mind, body, and intentions flow in the same direction. When you carry coherence, people feel it. They may not have language for it. They may not be able to explain it. But they sense your steadiness. They sense your groundedness. They sense your clarity. This is the power of someone who leads their inner world. Their outer world begins to shift in response. You no longer chase validation. You attract respect. You no longer seek approval. You radiate confidence. You no longer get pulled into drama. You rise above it effortlessly. You no longer cling to control. You move with purpose instead. Your energy becomes your message. 13. Living from the center instead of the edges. Most people live at the edges of themselves. Reacting, hurrying, pleasing, comparing, escaping, overthinking. But you are learning to live from the center. The center is where your truth resides. The center is where clarity whispers. The center is where intuition guides. The center is where presence strengthens. The center is where alignment grows. When you live from the center, your actions are cleaner. Your emotions are steadier. Your mind is sharper. Your decisions are more aligned. Your relationships are more authentic. The world feels less chaotic. Because you are no longer standing in its storm. You are standing in your center. This is not detachment. It is grounding. You are not withdrawing from life. You are engaging with it from a place of depth. When you move from your center, you no longer lose yourself in the noise of the world. You carry a quiet stability that cannot be easily shaken. And that stability becomes a guiding force. 14. Developing inner resilience. Resilience is not about never breaking. It is about returning, rebuilding, and rising. Your practices are teaching you that resilience is not an external skill. It is an internal relationship with challenge. Through breath, you learn calm in chaos. Through movement, you learn strength through consistency. Through stillness, you learn clarity in uncertainty. Through reflection, you learn wisdom in complexity. Through intention, you learn alignment in action. Every morning, you train the mind to focus, the body to listen, and the spirit to rise. So when difficulty comes, and it will, you do not collapse. You do not abandon yourself. You do not fall into old patterns. You return. This is the quiet power that begins growing within you. The power to stay open even when life closes in. The power to remain grounded even when challenges shake the surface. The power to act with clarity even when emotions run high. Resilience is not built in crisis. It is built in the calm moments you spend strengthening the relationship with your inner world. Those minutes in the early morning. Those quiet breaths. Those moments of intention. Those choices of alignment. They are preparing you for everything life will ever ask of you. 15. The unseen transformation. People will notice long before you do. They will see the calmness in your tone. They will feel the steadiness in your presence. They will notice the clarity in your decisions. They will respond differently to your energy. They will sense something has shifted. Something subtle but unmistakable. But the transformation happening inside you is not loud. It does not need attention. It does not seek validation. It does not announce itself. It unfolds quietly, like the slow strengthening of a tree's roots underground. And one day, without realizing exactly when it happened, you look at yourself and think, I no longer move the way I used to. I no longer react the way I used to. I no longer think the way I used to. I no longer abandon myself the way I used to. This is the moment the inner work becomes visible. Not because something external changed, but because you changed. You became someone who leads themselves. You became someone who creates alignment instead of waiting for it. You became someone who carries clarity instead of confusion. You became someone who returns to their center instead of losing themselves at the edges. This is the unseen transformation. The transformation that changes everything. By now, you begin to notice a new rhythm emerging in your life. A rhythm that is subtle, quiet, and steady, but undeniably powerful. Most people live according to the rhythm of external demands. Alarm clocks, deadlines, notifications, expectations. But when you wake during the sacred hours between 3 and 5 a.m., you step into a rhythm of your own making. A rhythm that aligns with the natural flow of life rather than being pulled by it. This rhythm is your foundation. It is the tempo that shapes your thoughts, energy, and actions throughout the day. It becomes a subtle compass, guiding you in everything from decision-making to emotional balance, from productivity to creativity. It is here, in the still hours, that you begin to understand that life is not something that happens to you. Life is something you move through consciously. Life is something you create from your internal alignment. 16. The power of intentional morning habits. Breath, movement, stillness, mental nourishment, intentional action. These are not just morning routines. They are the architecture of your inner environment. The difference between a chaotic day and a purposeful day is often the first hour after waking. When you wake with awareness, you set the tone for everything that follows. When you wake in reaction, you allow external circumstances to dictate your internal state. Breathing intentionally cultivates awareness. Movement awakens energy. Stillness nurtures clarity. Mental nourishment refines focus. Intentional action aligns your energy. Together, these steps form a chain reaction. Your energy, thoughts, and actions all begin to flow with coherence, not fragmentation. You start living from a place of cause rather than effect. 17. Awareness as a superpower. Awareness is not just noticing the world around you, it is noticing yourself in relation to the world. When you cultivate awareness in the early hours, you begin to notice patterns that would otherwise go unseen. The subtle tension in your shoulders that signals stress before it becomes overwhelm. The recurring thought loops that shape your emotions long before you act on them. The impulses that guide your energy unconsciously. This kind of awareness is a superpower. It allows you to intercept your own reactions before they become habits. It allows you to observe your energy and direct it rather than being pulled along. It allows you to live intentionally rather than automatically. And awareness is cumulative. Every morning you return to it, it strengthens. Every breath, every movement, every still moment, every deliberate thought adds to it. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, your life begins to shift, not because the world changed, but because you changed. 18. Emotional mastery through morning practices. The early hours are also the most fertile ground for emotional mastery. Most people react to emotion instead of observing it. A fleeting irritation grows into frustration. A small worry blooms into anxiety. A passing disappointment festers into resentment. But when you begin your day with the practices of master from within, you are already engaging your emotions from a place of stability. Breathing allows you to calm the nervous system. Movement channels energy so it does not stagnate in tension or worry. Stillness allows emotional clarity. Mental nourishment provides perspective. Intentional action grounds your emotional energy into purpose. You learn to meet emotion without being dominated by it. You learn to recognize its patterns, release its grip, and act from a balanced place. Emotional mastery is not suppression, it is awareness and management. And it starts in these quiet, unseen hours, long before the day's chaos tries to control you. 19. Clarity as a daily practice. Clarity is not a permanent state, it is cultivated. It is not discovered once and kept forever. It is built, repeated, and refined. Your morning practices cultivate clarity in multiple dimensions. Mental clarity. Your thoughts are no longer tangled with yesterday's distractions or tomorrow's worries. Emotional clarity. Your feelings are observed, not absorbed. Energetic clarity. Your energy flows consciously rather than being scattered. Intentional clarity. Your actions are aligned with purpose rather than habit. Clarity is the lens through which your entire day is experienced. It shapes your perception of challenges, your interaction with others, and the energy you bring into every moment. The difference between living with clarity and living without it can be subtle, yet profound. It is the difference between reacting and creating, between being a passenger and being a guide, between living distractedly and living with awareness. 20. The ripple effect of the morning. The work you do in these hours doesn't stay in the morning. It ripples outward into the rest of your day. Your conversations become calmer, more grounded, more intentional. Your decisions are clearer, based on insight rather than reaction. Your presence is steadier, and people respond to your energy differently. Your ability to focus on meaningful work increases, and the distractions that once ruled your attention lose their power. This ripple effect continues beyond the day itself. Weeks, months, and years of consistent early morning practice compound into profound internal transformation. Your energy field changes. Your mind becomes a fertile ground for wisdom. Your body becomes more attuned, more alive. Your emotional patterns shift. Your sense of purpose becomes clearer. The early hours are deceptively simple, yet they carry extraordinary power. 21. Advanced alignment, energy as your guide. By now, your mornings have become a sanctuary. You breathe with intention, move with presence, sit in stillness, feed your mind clarity, and act with focus. But there is one more layer to explore: energy itself. Energy is subtle. It is invisible, yet it underlies everything you do. Every thought, every emotion, every action, energy precedes it. The early hours of 3 to 5 a.m. are the perfect time to sense and shape it. Energy is not controlled by force. It is guided by awareness. When you move, let your movement be a conversation with your body, not a command. When you breathe, feel how energy circulates through your torso, limbs, and mind. When you sit in stillness, notice where energy pools, where it stagnates, where it flows. This awareness allows you to gently release blockages, balance your inner currents, and align your physical, mental, and emotional states. Over time, you'll notice a subtle shift. Your energy no longer feels fragmented. It becomes coherent, steady, and magnetic. This is the hallmark of mastery. The energy you carry radiates far beyond yourself. It affects how you move through the world, how others respond to you, and how life unfolds around you. 22. Integration, carrying the morning into the day. A common mistake is to think morning practice ends with sunrise. But mastery is measured in how seamlessly it integrates into your day. After completing your early routines, you move into the world with this sequence embedded. Awareness of your breath throughout the day. Gentle adjustments in posture to maintain energy flow. Pauses in stillness to recalibrate when challenges arise. Deliberate choices about what you feed your mind. Intentional actions aligned with your deepest priorities. Integration is about making the internal practices automatic without losing presence. It is the invisible architecture supporting all your decisions, actions, and relationships. When integrated, your energy flows uninterrupted by distraction. Your mind remains clear even in complexity. Your emotions respond rather than react. Your actions carry weight and intention. This is the power of master from within. The morning is not just a ritual, it is the template for an awakened life. 23. The alchemy of consistency. Transformation is not about occasional brilliance. It is about consistency. The same practices repeated every morning, every day, compound over time. Consistency is the silent alchemy that turns discipline into identity. It converts small, subtle acts, one breath, one movement, one moment of stillness, into profound internal change. Many people wait for motivation to strike. Masters create their own motivation by showing up consistently, regardless of feelings or circumstances. This builds trust in yourself. It builds confidence. It builds resilience. And it builds a life anchored in your own authority. The magic is not in the actions themselves, but in their faithful repetition. Each morning becomes a brick in the foundation of your inner kingdom. 24. Purpose and vision. With breath, movement, stillness, clarity, intentional action, and energy alignment, you begin to see more clearly. Not just the shape of your day, but the shape of your life. The early hours are a mirror of your inner purpose. They reveal where you are aligned and where you are not. They show the habits, thoughts, and energy patterns that support your vision, and those that hinder it. By observing, adjusting, and refining each day, you naturally move toward your highest potential. Your life becomes an expression of alignment. Your actions reflect intention. Your energy embodies purpose. You begin to live not by default or reaction, but by deliberate choice. And in this space, life feels lighter, freer, and infinitely more meaningful. 25. The long-term transformation. If you commit to these early practices every day, you begin to notice profound long-term changes. Physical vitality. Your body becomes more resilient, energized, and responsive. Mental clarity. Your thoughts are sharper, decisions clearer, and focus stronger. Emotional balance. You respond to challenges with calmness, patience, and insight. Energy mastery. Your internal state guides your external actions effortlessly. Presence and influence. Your energy affects the world around you, inspiring trust and respect. This is the unseen, cumulative transformation that no one else can measure, but everyone senses. Life does not need to be chaotic. Stress does not need to rule your mind. Reactivity does not need to control your actions. You can choose otherwise. And every morning between 3 and 5 a.m., you are given the doorway to choose differently. 26. Final invitation, walking through the door. The power of these hours is not in mystical formulas, nor in complex techniques, nor in dramatic rituals. It is in showing up. It is in breathing with presence. It is in moving with intention. It is in sitting in stillness. It is in feeding your mind clarity. It is in acting aligned with purpose. It is in honoring your energy and your inner self. Each morning becomes a practice in self-mastery. Each breath becomes a step toward your true potential. Each action becomes a declaration. I am awake, I am present, I am the architect of my life. When you walk through this doorway consistently, you begin to live as the person you were meant to be. Not swayed by external chaos, not limited by internal fear, not scattered by habit. You move through life with clarity. You act with intention. You live with alignment. And that is the ultimate gift of waking in the sacred hours. You are not just alive, you are fully awake. Closing words. On Master from Within, we remind you, transformation is not an event. It is a series of deliberate choices. The dawn is your laboratory, and you are both scientist and master. Breathe, move, sit, reflect, act, align, return, repeat. Every day, the rhythm deepens. Every day, your presence strengthens. Every day, you awaken further into your potential. This is not a promise of perfection. It is an invitation to mastery. And it begins with the simple, sacred choice to rise between 3 and 5 a.m. and walk deliberately into your life.